I think it's one where I think growing up for football, you kind of play football, you enjoy it, you love it. And then when you kind of take the step across, you kind of the mindset changes. It probably changes before you finish, actually, especially with me knowing that I wasn't going to be, playing till I was 35. So the kind of mind changes in terms of how you look at the game rather than just playing it and doing your job. You look at things more collectively. And then from there, it's just a case of what you want to be and what you want to do. Ultimately, as soon as I knew football, playing wise, was going to be cut short, I didn't want to come away from it. I just loved it too much. Spent most of my life being part of me, so it was pretty much get involved in the coaching side. But again, ultimately, you can't always in everybody's case jump straight into that. So I want to be more well-rounded in terms of. So I took a job scouting and recruitment, which gave me a great insight into what went on behind the scenes, how players were brought in. I did opposition analysis, again, so looking at oppositions, how they set up, in terms of winning against whoever they may be playing, but then breaking it down in terms of when they come to play a team like Celtic or a bigger teams, do they change? And just trying to address that side of the game and how you read it and seen it. And then ultimately moved into coaching when I get the first opportunity. I was coaching with some of the academy kids in the evenings as well as working as a kind of analyst and scout. And then the under-18s job came from me. And I think that's when it really starts for you as a coach because, like most of you guys, you'll look at games, you'll analyse them, you watch, football from everywhere, which we all do and love to do. But I think when you get really into the nitty-gritty of the coaching, you get a real feel for what you are and how you see football properly. You have ideas. Those ideas sometimes when you go and carry them out with the personnel you have or the teams, you have to be adaptable and change and think about things. But ultimately, having been watching Celtic all my life, been involved at Celtic, as much as I was a defender, I'm a very attacking-minded guy. It's very much about the performance and how you can dominate, how you can, play attacking football and score as many goals as possible. But also it has to be a collective in terms of how you defend and how you work together. So everything's got to be in conjunction with each other. And I think through my experience as a coach, I think you get to know what you're comfortable with. If you're a guy who, you watch football and you say, yeah, I want to build out for the back, and you set your team up and all of a sudden you're jumping out your seat every pass that might be tight, then it's not real. It's not real for you because that's not what you really believe in because your emotion comes out at that point. And if you've got the fear, trust me, your players will have the fear. So you have to be comfortable in what you deliver, be really true to it, and not try and be false. So for me, it's very much being comfortable with the ball, in terms of an attacking intent, being in control as much as you possibly can. Whether a team presses you or not, you've got to identify how you attack, where you attack, and the times you have to speed and slow the game down. And you need to do that with full control. So everybody needs to be involved in that. It's not a case of, you pass the ball on to your forwards and you let them go and do their magic. The minute our defenders go from maybe having the ball and working in a different area and all of a sudden the attack accelerates very quickly because of space and time, our defenders have to move at the same speed as everyone else. So if the ball breaks down, we're still fully connected. We're all on the same page. And then again, the transition type of side of the game, then if you're open and spread, you'll get done every time. So it's very much you get to know your beliefs and your coaching style as you do it. And you have ideas, you have things you like to watch and see. But I don't think it really truly comes out to you work on the pitch and work with teams. And within that, even along the time, I've worked a certain way with my youth teams and my reserve teams, played in a very specific style, and been comfortable with that and enjoyed that. And then when you come into the first team, I've been part of coaching groups and management teams who, you have to be adaptable in terms of you always have your key principles. Your style doesn't change, but tactically you got to be adaptable in terms of what's available to you, what personnel you have, what the opposition are going to bring, and what might be working for you in that period of time. But ultimately you've got a big picture of how you want it to look. And that style, everybody always refers to what's your tactics. It depends. It depends what the situation is at any given time. Your style is the most important thing. The players have to understand your key principles. And tactically, it can be as minor as a 5-yard movement, in terms of if a team press you a specific way, the number of players you need to build the play, and then the number of team players you might need in a specific area. And it might mean a winger moving from outside the pitch, moving inside the pitch 10 yards to overload a certain situation. That's resolving a situation. That's a tactic, and I think sometimes it can be a bit misunderstood. So again, what we need to do is create good decision makers, and that's the way I like to work in terms of training and coaching. We have a very much, a setup and a structure and parameters within that, but players have to be good decision makers. We can't stand as coaches on the side of the pitch and make every decision for them. So in terms of them recognising situations, and it might be key triggers, and that's what when training comes in, you've got to work them and put them in, situations that force them to make decisions, force them to make mistakes. But again, if they can't correct that, you've got to correct it for them and give them the options. So that's the way we get train good players. You got to train the good decision makers, and always have that structure and key principles of play. And ultimately, we all want it to look good. Me more than anyone else. I want it to be slick. I want to dominate the ball. I want to score as many goals as possible. And that's Celtic for me in a nutshell. But we've got to get results for that as well.